Hello everybody, and welcome to our last video for the segment of where we are launching my new book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. And in today's video, I am gonna be talking about, actually the whole day today is dedicated to cleaning up and detoxing your products that are in your home, in your kitchen, in your bathroom. Stuff that you put on your, so makeup stuff, right? Things that we put on our skin, things that you wash your clothes with. And so we've got a wonderful interview coming up with my dear friend, Laura Edler, who's an environmental toxins expert, but she's got a very balanced view on things. So don't freak out. She's not going to ask you to throw away everything you have in a house. So we're going to be talking a little bit broadly about what are some of the things you can detox. But one of the things I want to show you today, when we're going to do a demo from my cookbook, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, I'm going to be showing you the all-purpose cleaner, how simple it is to make and how inexpensive it can be. It's on page 358 if you have a copy of my book. So just a quick recap in case you've been missing the past, we've been doing it for the past 7 days. So today is the 8th day. Overcoming Estrogen Dominance is my latest book. It's dedicated to all women who are suffering from period problems, hot flashes, fibroids, endometriosis, who've been having stubborn fat around their hips and thighs that just wouldn't go away, including cellulite, who've been having infertility problems, who've been dealing with thyroid nodules and thyroid cancer, but also women who struggle with fibrocystic and painful breast, and as well as estrogenic cancer, such as ovarian cancer, estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, uterine cancer, thyroid cancer, like I mentioned, but also lung cancer in non-smokers. So this is really a book for you if any of those is your issue. And what I teach in here is that the problem is not having too much estrogen. The problem is how we break down those estrogens. So one big thing, about estrogens, and if you've missed all my previous talks, we are putting all of them together in a beautiful library for you on overcoming-estrogen-dominance.com/events. So all the previous days and every day there is a focus area. So pick the ones that you think are going to be helpful for you. And I do recommend for you to watch day number 1, because that's where I give you the bigger picture of what are the great foods for estrogen dominance, what's not so great for estrogen dominance, and then how to get started. So the other thing I'll also mention that Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, you can get the book on overcoming-estrogen-dominance.com. And with that, we have a special gift card for you. And so if you head out there, get the book, come back to the website, enter the receipt number, and we'll send you the code that I think you would appreciate. You can put it towards your health, improving your health. All right, so what's the big deal about detoxing products in your house? It actually really is a big deal, because estrogens can come from internal or be produced internally. They can also come externally. So for the past 7 days, we've been focusing very much about how do you manage and monitor and improve your estrogen detoxification by improving the function of your liver, by improving the function of your gut. How do you what are the foods that can help? What are the things that are gonna impair that ability, right? And that's all really important. We also talked about foods that actually can help you increase estrogen levels if you're low, like if you're going through perimenopause and menopause. So all of that is in my past talks that I have done. But the other source of estrogen today that I wanna talk about, which is also very important and very easy to fix really, is being mindful about the estrogens that are coming from external sources into your life. And guess what? Products that we use at home for cleaning, stuff that we put on our body, like body lotions, makeup, right? Things that we wash our clothes with, all can have either really be very benign and neutral and still do the job, or they can be highly, highly toxic. So what's the big deal about those? So I want to just make it very real for you and just share with you that a lot of these chemicals, such as, for example, one of the classical ones are phthalates. And Brittany, if we can spell this out for our folks in the comments, what phthalates are all about. So phthalates are chemicals that are used as one of the reasons why we use them is because they make things smell really nice for a long I say nice like this, nice for a long time. So if, for example, if you buy some of the, so perfumes will use that. You would also find them in pretty much anything that has a smell, right? So things for cleaning your clothes, things for cleaning your house would have that sort of the scent in it. And the scent is, and whenever you see the word fragrance, it typically means it's a phthalate. The problem with the phthalate was we consider it as xenoestrogen, as an external estrogen that turns into estradiol in the body. Estradiol, also known as E2, is the harmful form of estrogen that is very easy to get if out of whack. And one of the forms of estrogen dominance is we have three estrogens. And the second one, estradiol, is a very aggressive form of estrogen. That's the estrogen where women with, for example, breast cancer tend to have very elevated levels of. So the bottom line is that we just don't need to be adding more estradiol into our life. The second problem, which is even a bigger issue, is the fact that xenoestrogens cause DNA damage to that part of your DNA that helps you detoxify you of estrogens, right? So basically impairing your ability to detoxify you of estrogens. And that's like, I think, even the more serious issue than anything else. There's still little research on that, but just the fact itself, that what we do know, for example, also is that women with breast cancer, women with estrogenic cancers, tend to have elevated levels of estradiol. They also tend to be very toxic. So the number of chemicals that is found in them, and I'm just talking about phthalates here today, but you also want to be mindful of things like BPA. And then there is this perception that just because something is BPA free, hence this kind of plastic is safe. And we're going to talk more about that with Laura Edler later today, but I want to assure you it's actually BPA free. It's not any better. It's probably even worse, the suspicion is now, because you're using another chemical called BPF or BPS. And now we are finding out it's actually, it could be, even more problematic. I want to do a quick diversion here. You can see here that I have a little bit of phlegm going on, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is, but it's actually a really interesting point. So I'm just going to divert just for a tiny second. Inflammation in the digestive tract just shows you have some kind of a food sensitivity, and I certainly have developed something, and I'm not sure what it is, and so it's something that I'm drinking in the morning. It's either my tea, or is the almond milk, or is the oat milk that I'm drinking. So I'm just sharing this with you because if you're clearing your throat a lot, there could be an indication that something isn't serving you. So I do apologize for that, but at the same time I'm sharing this with you because if you're, it's also a little, I think, a good data point for you to be mindful. Okay, back to creating the all-purpose cleaner I want to show you today. So the reason why I chose to go with the all-purpose cleaner for two reasons. One is going to save you a ton of money. The second reason is that it really is one of the cleanest products you can create and use it for a lot of cleaning purposes around the house. So let me just give you also a little secret behind how companies like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Clorox, Johnson & Johnson work. Before I started doing this kind of work, I used to work for an advertising agency, and Johnson & Johnson was one of our biggest clients. And so I kind of know this world really well, and Unilever and Procter & Gamble, so all these companies, that manufacture all the cleaning products, all the dishwashing products, all the clothes cleaning products for the house, etc., that you see in supermarkets, conventional supermarkets, right? The aisle that personally, when I walk through an aisle like that, I go to Walmart maybe once a year. I don't know why, but I just somehow end up there. It's the aisle that you walk in through when it all smells really nice. That's the most toxic aisle you can walk through. I actually personally get a headache when I walk through something like that. It's just to me, it's so toxic. Maybe it's psychosomatic too. But anyway, what I want to share with you is these large companies, what they do is part of their strategy is to create a belief system in the consumers, which is you and I, that you need a cleaning products for everything. You need one thing for the toilet, you need another thing for your countertop, you need something else for your sink, you need something else for your window, right? You need something else for your table, right? And so you end up with like 20 products in your cupboard, and then under your sink is like one big mass, right, of products on top of products because you don't know where to store it. And here's the honest truth, and that is you really don't need most of them. You might need something for scrubbing, like really when you have dirt to come off, and you can use easily things like baking soda, just as an example, to get rid of like oily you know, stubborn stains on your counter or your tub or whatever. But for all other purposes, right? I mean, there's times also when you want to add soap to certain cleaners. This is not the kind of cleaner that I'm talking about here. Like when you're doing your floors, you might add a touch of soap to the formula that I'm showing you today. But it's really, like, you can really cut it down to having maybe 3 cleaners. One is for your floor, one is for all your countertops and your sink and your toilet, okay? And then the third one is something a little bit hotter, such as, for example, baking soda, which don't underestimate baking soda. It's pretty darn amazing what baking soda can do. So let me show you how simple this recipe is. And I know many of you are thinking, oh my God, but what about the antibacterial properties of this? Is it gonna kill all the bacteria in the house? And the answer is yes, and I'll show you how this happens. So let's dive into what we're gonna be working with. Really simple. We're gonna be using water. Then we're gonna use good old white distilled vinegar, and this is not apple cider vinegar, you hippies out there. And then we're gonna be using some alcohol. I'm using 70% ethanol. But you can also use the one if you have the 99% one. That's perfectly fine. So I'm gonna mix everything up here. So if I follow the recipe from page 358, all-purpose cleaner, we've got 2 cups of water. I've already pre-measured that. Okay. And then we're gonna be using 1.5 cups of distilled white vinegar. I wanna just share with you, my grandmother was a nurse during the war. And she said all they used to do, because there was no supplies, right? So 1.5 cups. There was no supplies, and so there was a shortage of supplies during the war. So she said that basically what they used to use is white vinegar, water, and then they will squeeze a lemon with lemon juice into the concoction, and that's what they used to clean hospitals with, you know. And she said it was perfectly fine. It worked. And then we're gonna use 1/2 cup of rubbing alcohol, so 70%, and that's what I have here. You can use stronger, no problem at all. And by the way, feel free to modify this recipe just as you like. It's really not, you know, you're not gonna, this is not gonna not work if you modify it anyway, you know what I mean? So if you feel, for example, there's too much of vinegar smell, then just don't use the vinegar. Don't use as much vinegar. So you do need some vinegar, because white vinegar isn't a great antibacterial. Yet it's gentle. Doesn't destroy furniture. It doesn't, I'm not sure about marble. I'm not gonna comment on that. You're gonna do your own research. But for example, I have quartz on my counter. It's perfectly fine to use that. You can use it on wood. You can use it on windows. You can use it on most of ceramic kitchen sinks, right, and bathroom sinks, and so really, really safe formula to use. And then we have 20 to 30 drops of essential oils of your choice, which is, the book mentions lemon, thyme, lavender, oregano, clove, and rosemary. So any of those essential oils all of them have great antimicrobial properties. One interesting thing that I think has gotten a lot of popularity is tea tree oil, and guess what? Turns out that actually tea tree oil is not the most antibacterial oil that's out there. Again, somebody did a great marketing on it. So one thing I forgot to say, and so let me just do like a quick insertion here. We're doing a book giveaway, you guys, on this call here, for those of you who are live, and I'm gonna quiz you on something that I'm talking about here. And whoever gets it right, my team is gonna select one person and reach out to you and then send you a copy of the book. So the question is gonna be based on what I'm showing you here today. So listen. Okay, so tea tree oil isn't the best antibacterial. Actually, the best antibacterial profile among all the essential oils is actually oregano. And it's not surprising, some of you who maybe have been dealing, for example, with candida in the past, like candida in your gut, you might have taken things like olive oregano and in different supplemental forms, and that's because it's a hugely powerful antibacterial. So much so, microbial, I should say, actually, not just bacterial, any microbes, so that includes viruses and yeast and spores. The issue with so much so that you do not take olive oregano internally for a long time, because it really wipes up your gut bacteria. So this just gives you an idea what a powerful antimicrobial it can be. So I've got oil of oregano here. I've got a few other ones. I didn't have lemon, but I had cloves. I had rosemary here too, and I do have some tea tree oil. I feel like this works great for ants, and so I've got some in case I get ants here one day if I'm not neat enough. And I also brought in some patchouli because actually there's a part of me that I think is a bit hippie, so I do like to add a little bit of patchouli that blends really nicely with all of that. So I'm just gonna start off with olive oregano. I'm gonna do probably about 10 drops here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15 drops. So it's about half of my essential oil comes from olive oregano. And then I love cloves. So I'm just gonna do a bit of cloves. I'm gonna have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then let's do a bit of rosemary. It's kind of nice when your house smells of rosemary, you know. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are the antimicrobials, right? And then just to have a little bit of nice smell, I'm gonna add a tiny bit of patchouli. Hello, hippie. It's about 7 drops here. Okay. So I feel like it's like, you know, it becomes kind of creative. You can be really creative with your own cleaner at home. And it takes really a few minutes. I'm just talking a lot here today, so that's why it's taking a little bit longer. But really, I mean, you can do this on the fly, like, especially if you get a hang of it. So I'm reusing a bottle, you know, and just because I don't want to be having to use a new bottle for everything. So, you know, the whole thing idea is you want to recycle as much as possible. So I'm going to pour this in here. The essential oils now is going to be on top, and that's okay. Because what we're going to do is we're going to shake it up, and by shaking it, and you might need to shake it every time. I might need to. Okay, so that's about it. Got some extra left here. Just clean up my counter. I watched this Japanese cooking show the other day, and the chefs were like keeping the counter so nice and clean. I was like, oh my God, I want to be like that. I'm a messy chef, so I'm generally messy. All right, and then what we're gonna do is, and as you can see, I'm using plastic. I'm actually reusing a bottle from a company that I'll tell you about in a second, Brunch Basics. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna basically shake it up. And this is by shaking, you can incorporate the essential oils into the solution. And because you've got vinegar and alcohol in it, so they will blend it really nicely. You will see that after a while, so this is when you then start using the cleaner. You will see that the oils might come back to the top after a few minutes. And so every time you use it, you basically give it a quick shake like that, and it's ready to go. Yeah. So what I do is I oftentimes put a little label on it just to see what it is. So you can see, for example, before I was using 1-to-1 water with vinegar plus some essential oils, right? This is my little homemade solution here. Just a really nice and easy thing to make. So as you can see, you know, let me tell you, you're gonna save a ton of money instead of buying, you know, things like that for $20, $30, right? Especially including the organic versions of all of those. And here you have, you know, something that you can literally, I mean, you can whip this out that costs you probably less than $5. Okay. All right. Let's see what questions we have coming in. And okay. Connie is asking, does anything in your book apply to men? Yes, absolutely. So that is, you know, actually one thing I don't talk often enough about is that prostate problems in men and prostate cancer is estrogenic as well. So, you know, we have a lot of women saying that when they changed the diet following our protocols, they got the whole family on board. And actually a lot of really great things start happening. A lot of women report that their husbands have lost weight, they sleep better, they snore less, they have more sex drive, they have better moods, kids behave a lot better, have got less ADD and ADHD, and just a lot of benefits. So yeah, so there is, you know, it's really like what I teach here in the book, it's not something that's just so weird that it's gonna mess up men's hormones. So just wanna make it really clear. You know, something that men can definitely benefit from. Teresa is asking, can you buy a pumice stone to rub the stains away? I guess you could, but that's really harsh though. I mean, that's something that, you know, you need to experiment with, but I would never do that in my house because I just got a new kitchen, a new bathroom, so I wouldn't be scrubbing things like that. But I think you can use a lot of other things, including, you know, really like just using, it's amazing what baking soda can do. Don't underestimate baking soda and salt combined together, especially coarse salt. It's a really one of the best rubbing agents that you can have, scrubbing agents you can get. So I don't think you need to be so harsh with a pumice stone. What about citrine? I don't know what that is. Is that some kind of an essential oil? Alex is saying, my washing machine gets moldy in it on a well and no chlorine runs in the machine. What can I add to my laundry soap to kill the mold? So there is a anti-mold solution that you might want to look up, and it starts with a C. There's an anti-mold washing agent that's really, really clean. I could look it up. Actually, it's in my laundry space, so I will let you know. But it's interesting that you develop mold because I'm on a well as well. I don't have chlorine in this house, and I don't have a problem with mold but one of the things I always do is keep the door of the washing machine open, so you're gonna let it dry out and don't close it. And I feel that way it always keeps it really dry, and you don't really need to use anything else beyond that. Would this solution help with hard water stains? I don't know. Oh, hard water stains. What are hard water stains? Do you know?
You mean the buildup on the faucet?
You mean like a buildup on a faucet? Because I think that will be, I would say no. That's not really, the purpose of this is you guys to use it on your counters, on your, you know, when you wiping down the house, or your cleaner comes to the house and you've got dust, it's for your toilet, right? For all your counters or your sinks and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that this is for hard water stains. Okay, let's see. We've got something else that might be coming in. So how many of you have been making this? Because I have been teaching this recipe for a while, and just as I'm waiting to see if there's any other questions, I just want to share with you one of the, some of you might be like, oh, I don't want to be making my own things, and I get that. So one of the products that I love to use is Brunch Basics, and really nice, super clean product. They are our good friends. We reached out to them to do something special for hormones balance. And so the way the concentrate works is that, as the name implies, is a concentrate that you dilute to different levels depending on the application. So they comes with these reusable bottles. As you can see, I'm reusing a bottle and making my own solution that comes it's a Brunch Basics bottle, right? So when I give you an example, for instance, this bottle was originally, it's called All Purpose. So as the name implies, you can wash anything with it. Surfaces, stains, grease, and dishes, and it works really well, nicely. And the cool thing about it is that it shows you that you can fill it up with water up to here, and then from here to here, you're using that to top it up with concentrate. There's other solutions like for windows, for washing your clothes. They have a few other applications, and then the percentage of the solution changes to something more concentrated. For example, if you're using it for washing your clothes, it's more like 50-50 proportion of dilution. And so this is just so cute and nice, like having those markers that just show you, where to pour and make it yourself. And so this thing is not like super cheap, but I think it's like $50-something. But the thing is that once you dilute this to know these number of applications, you're actually saving about half of the cost versus buying, conventional cleaning products. And it is so clean that they don't even have to do any exclaimers on the product. So one of the things we're going to be talking about with Laura Edler, and I hope you tune into that talk, is we're going to be talking about when there is no, like why some products have the hazardous product disclaimers and some don't. And so almost every cleaning product that you find, especially in regular supermarkets, it will have a hazardous warning, right? And it's because of the amount of toxins that's in it. Brunch Basics is so clean that they don't even have to, by law, disclose anything, because none of the ingredients that they're using have a suspicious profile, undeclared profile, or unresearched profile. And so for that reason, or hazardous profile, and so for that reason, it's just a nice clean product that's got ingredients that are all tested to be super safe, including for even for babies. Okay, I'm gonna take a few more questions. Calcium buildup on porcelain. I'm not sure about that, Jody. That's like very specific cleaning products you guys have. How good is tallow? Vicky, I don't know what you mean by, I know like you mean to clean? I don't think so. I mean, tallow is fat from a cow, right? That's melted. So I know it's used a lot in skincare products, and that could be a really great one. I have heard of women who use tallow and have reported that it made them more estrogenic, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. So just something to be concerned about or mindful of, I should just say. Laura is saying, I constantly struggle with lime scale. The water in my place is very hard. None of those natural methods ever worked. What can I add? So Laura, I have an issue. Also with hot water in my house. And so it used to, like when you take the dishes out of the dishwasher, it will have like a lot of stains on them. It was not great for the washing machine because it can really destroy the machine in the long term. So what I'll suggest for you to do is to have a really nice natural solution where you add salt at the point of where the pump is, and that softens your water significantly. And it's also much nicer to shower with the water like that. Before I had the softener added on, I'll have like my skin would just really itch, and my skin is fairly sensitive. So, start itching and I'll feel like I'm just shriveling, and it was just horrible. So I would suggest do that because it's gonna also save your appliances in the long term too. Maria is saying, Glickman, what do you recommend for shower top cleaning? So like I said, using a combination of this and then adding some baking soda and salt will just do amazing job. Laura is saying, what would you use to wash clothes? Lots of clean brands are actually not. That's very true. And so I completely agree with you. And we're going to talk about it with Lara Adler this afternoon about like greenwashing. That's exactly what you're talking about here, Laura, is the clean brands, right? They present themselves as green. And then when you actually really look at the ingredients, at the best case will be you pull out those ingredients and you can, by the way, you guys, you can look at the safety profile of those chemicals, especially when you're sensitive, on ewg.org website, environmentalworkinggroup.org, right? And so they have this, you enter the name of the chemical and they will show you a safety profile. The thing is that sometimes it will just show you that it's not found, or it will tell you inconclusive. And the reason is because there's not enough research. So I struggle when brands are using these sort of ingredients because it's just unproven. And so I don't know about you, but I don't want to find out in 5 years' time, 10 years' time that this thing that I've been using that was declared to be safe because it's not tested actually turned out to be carcinogenic, or it interrupts with hormones, or it causes, whatever, ovarian failure. Okay, so yeah, I totally agree with you. And that's what's called greenwashing. Companies that do spend a lot of time and money and effort on marketing it as clean, while the ingredients are less than exemplary. We're going to talk more about this in this afternoon. So this is the reason why. So for washing clothes, I personally use Branch Basics, and it does a really nice job. A lot of my team a lot of my team members have kids, so they have a lot more dirty clothes than I would. And they said it actually does a really great job. Many of them were kind of skeptical because it doesn't feel strong enough, but it really does take out all the stains out. So and dirt out. So it's pretty awesome. So that's what I use for washing clothes. And yeah. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, great questions. I hope some of you will make this little concoction at home and start cleaning your house this weekend, or have talk to your cleaner about doing that. I want to just mention to you one more thing. Actually, one little story just came to mind. I used to, so my previous cleaners, I had these wonderful cleaners. Unfortunately, they don't work for me anymore because they are afraid to come up to the mountains in winter. They had a wonderful couple, and they will come and clean the house. And when we first started working together, they said they brought a whole caddy of all these cleaning products, right? And they say, oh, you know, we that's what we use, and we prefer to use this and not your stuff because we know it works. And I said to them, absolutely not. Like, if you want to work here, you use my stuff, and I'll tell you what I like to use, right? And then we modify, you know, just to make sure that you do a good job, you're happy with that as well, with the outcome. And they worked for me for about 1.5 years. And, you know, they not only did they switch over to all these natural products, which kind of is funny because a lot of natural products got a reputation of not being very effective, which, like I said, I will absolutely dispute that. What they did was she said to me, it was more of her issue. She benefited more from it. She said to me, she says, you know, all my dry skin on my hands is gone. All my allergies completely stopped. Like every spring, I'll have to take all sorts of antihistamines to deal with my allergies, and all her allergies. And she said, I'll never forget this because it was pretty like, wow, this is huge. She said, you have saved my life. And I said, no, don't be silly. This is a real big statement. And they're really lovely people. They're from Tibet originally, and she's also a nurse on a part-time basis. You know, so they're just really lovely, loving people. And she said, no, you really saved my life, because she says, if I continue on with these chemicals, I know I would have gotten really sick. And so they've converted a number of their cleaning clients onto natural products, and everybody absolutely loves it. And she says, so much so that she had one client who insisted on using things that really work for deep cleaning. And she said she resigned from that client because every time she said she had to use it, she felt really quite sick. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting story. I don't think I saved her life, but I certainly have helped her to just detox her body in a very effective way. And I think once you go the natural way, when you walk into places like, you know, the conventional stores, and you walk through the aisle of all the cleaning products and washing dishwashers and clothes washing detergents, etc., is actually kind of revolting, and I get a headache from it right away. All right, anyway, thanks so much for being here today. I would love to see you again. Oh wait, sorry, we have the giveaway. Okay. Okay, so the question for my giveaway for today is gonna be, which essential oil has got the best antimicrobial profile, better than tea tree oil? Okay, so whoever gets that right is gonna get a copy of my book. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you later today with my good friend and colleague, Lara Adler. Bye for now.